what's up? What's up to everybody on all of our campuses? Welcome to the first kickoff of 2019. Hey, I've been looking forward to tonight. I hope you have been too. What I get to talk about tonight, I just think is life-changing. And I've been so looking forward to this time with you guys. This last fall, I had a conversation with a high school principal. Don't worry, I didn't get sent to the office or anything like that a long time ago. I asked him to lunch and we sat down and we just had an awesome conversation. And we share a lot in common because we both have a huge passion for students. He's been a high school principal for over 20 years. And so I'm like, I gotta learn something from this guy. And we're talking, we're having such good conversation. And towards the end of the conversation, I asked him a question that was just turned out to be so important for me personally. I asked him to share with me the one thing that he believes his students at his school need most. And the answer that he gave me, it was like he didn't even hesitate. And it completely took me off guard. You know what he didn't say? He didn't say anything about test scores. He didn't talk about GPA. He didn't mention my greatest need when I was in high school, which would have been like, I was 5'9", about 150 pounds in high school, and I played basketball and football. I got destroyed on the football field, and I was just shorter than everybody playing basketball. And like, 5'9", 150 pounds, like, you're gonna get blocked all over the court, and that was me. He didn't mention that his school needed more funding. He didn't mention better faculty. He didn't talk about the elimination of weed, pills, or pens from campus. He didn't talk about discipline. He didn't mention that he would really like to see more banners hanging in the gymnasium with state championships. He answered with one word. You can probably guess what it is. Hope. My students need hope. And that answer just caused me to step back. And I started asking myself, do I underestimate my need for hope? Because this wouldn't have been my answer. And since that conversation, it just hasn't really gotten out of my mind. And I've kind of been on this journey trying to figure out what hope is all about. And I kind of underestimate it. You know what I think of when I think of hope? I think of Hallmark cards. I went to Target today, walked down the aisles. I found this one. It says, "Hope the sun shines down on you today." And then inside it says, "Hope it brightens your world and fills your heart with happiness, health, and love." That's just nice, isn't it? Sounds like something my grandma would get me. I've kind of underestimated hope. I wonder, do you do the same thing? Perhaps you underestimate hope. But the more I've looked into it, the more that I've thought about it, the more that I've prayed about it, the more that I've looked at God's word, I've just realized the principle was right. Hope is one of my greatest needs. And I can say today with confidence, whether you're a freshman or a senior, whether you're an athlete or an academic, whether you play in the band or you play video games, whether life is good for you right now or if life is just not so good, everybody needs hope. Everyone. And you know what? This guy, the Apostle Paul, he was this giant in the Christian faith. He would have completely agreed with the principle. He would have been like nodding his head in that conversation. And Paul talked about, as he wrote a big portion of the New Testament in the Bible, he talked about hope so much. In fact, probably one of the most quoted chapters in the whole Bible, you hear this at weddings, is 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And Paul lists off all these virtues of the Jesus follower. And then at the very end, he narrows the list down to 3. Guess what one of the 3 is? Hope. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 13, look it up. Hope. I'll show you one of the most tweetable things I think Paul said about hope. Check this out. He said, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." Romans 15:13. Two things I would say about that verse. Number one, it says, "May the God of hope." I want you to know the God that we worship at CCV is a God of hope. Second thing I'd say about this verse, Paul says he doesn't want you to just have hope. He wants you to overflow with hope. He wants Jesus followers to be so hope-filled that when we bump into people in life, that their hope is lacking, that their hope level would begin to rise. Why would it rise? Because they encountered us. The hope started with us. That's what Paul wanted. Everyone needs hope. And I think a lot of us are on board with that idea, but still, I fear that we underestimate it. And here's the reality in life. Sooner or later in your life, you're gonna come toe-to-toe with a test. Now, I'm not talking about like A's and B's kind of test. I'm meaning life is gonna bring you to a place of difficulty, a place of challenge, a place of pain. And when it happens, if you try to go through that season of life without hope, the potential is that that test or that trial or that difficulty will begin to steal your joy. It'll steal your happiness. It'll steal the life from you. And why would we allow that to happen? When God intends that we be filled with hope, when hope in and of itself is what can bring us through those tests, those trials, those challenges. Everyone needs hope. Today, I want to take you on just the beginning of the journey that I went on rediscovering what hope is all about. As I looked in God's word, about 140 times, hope is mentioned. And when you look at the authors, there's 40 authors in the Bible. Like some people think the Bible is written by one person. No, 40 different people all throughout the Bible. They all talk about hope. And they kind of talk about it in a similar way. And if you look at how those authors talk about hope, and then maybe you look at the definition of hope in the Webster Dictionary, or if you look at the definition of hope, even in the Urban Dictionary, really, they all agree on what hope is. There's really only one major difference, and we'll get to that at the very end tonight. But here's the working definition that I want us to look at tonight with hope. It goes like this: hope looks forward for good to happen. Everybody look at me in a strong voice, say forward. Good job, good job. Hope looks forward. I had this high school basketball coach, and he used to preach to me and my team when we played defense, that we would be a team that's always looking forward, that we would begin to learn to look at what will happen before it happens, that we would begin to anticipate what the offense was gonna do. And if we could learn to do this, we could learn to put ourselves in a place where we had the advantage. And that's part of the essence of hope. Hope always thinks about what's gonna happen before it happens. It puts you in a proactive place, not a reactive one. I was okay at this in high school. Remember, I'm only 5'9", okay? So I can only cover so much ground here, all right? But I had this kid on my team. His name was Alex Henderson. And I was a senior and Alex was a freshman. But Alex had this uncanny ability to hope when he played basketball. He could look forward. He could anticipate what the offense was gonna do. And I'm telling you guys, he drove the opposing team that we played at, he drove them crazy. He stole the ball so many times. He led our team in steals. He led the entire league in steals. I mean, senior point guards were going out of their minds. Coaches are calling timeout. They're like yelling at their teams. They're like breaking clipboards. And I'm over there laughing and be like, Alex got you. He's got your number all day long. Do you know somebody like Alex? Maybe you play soccer. Do you know a goalie who just has the ability to just anticipate where the shot's going and they stop it every time? Or maybe you know a linebacker who just has a nose for the football. They just crush people. I love how athletes show us a little bit of the essence of hope. But it's not just in sports where we see hope played out. We really see this all over the place. You see people think about what's gonna happen before it happens. They become proactive. They imagine what could be. And I get it. I get it why some people struggle with this. Because sometimes when we imagine what could be, it just doesn't come true. Sometimes things don't work out. And you're right, thinking that way, because hope is a risk. But what people with hope just agree on is that it's worth the risk to hope. Hope looks forward. But it doesn't just look forward. Hope looks forward for good to happen. Look at the person next to you real quick and say, good is gonna happen to you. Awesome. All right, I look back up here. I know there's probably some of you on some of our campuses, you're just kind of like this. You're kind of like, I'm not doing that. I see you, Scottsdale campus. You're like, I'm too cool for this. I get it, okay. It's all right, Scottsdale, I love you guys. Okay. Hope looks forward for good to happen. Last week, we sent out a survey and we asked students on all of our campuses to answer some questions about hope. And you know what I found? I found that so many of you, hundreds of you, are looking forward for good things to happen. I want to share a few with you. Someone said this: I hope to do something that makes me happy and successful. Someone on the Avondale campus. You know what's interesting, you guys? This is the number one response that we got back. You guys, more than anything else, are looking forward to be happy and successful. Interesting. Here's another one. Somebody said from the Surprise campus, I hope to be able to provide for my family. That's really cool. Either there's a dude out there, and that's awesome, you ladies should be looking for that guy, or there's a girl that's gonna be the sugar mama in the house, which is awesome. Next one. Someone from the Midtown Phoenix campus said, I hope to find my place. I hope whoever wrote this, I hope you know you found your place at CCV. This is a good place for you. A lot of people still, even though from time to time you look forward for good to happen, when you look forward, you don't look forward for good to happen, you start to expect bad will happen. And just for the record, you guys, that's not hope at all. That's called despair. Despair looks forward and expects bad to happen. Prom is coming in 4 months. I don't think I'll get asked. We're gonna play this team on Friday night. They're top 10 in state. We don't stand a chance. I got a test in Algebra 2 coming up, and I'm gonna fail. I can't share my faith. I can't talk about Jesus at school. Are you kidding me? I will look stupid. I've been struggling with this health thing. You know what? I don't think I'll ever feel good again. Despair. You see, while some of us hope for good things, some of us expect the bad. What causes you to despair? I'll share with you a few things that you guys said in the survey. Scottsdale. I don't know life. Whoever wrote that, by the way, I really hope that you're listening tonight. Because while that might be kind of funny just in the moment, that's real. That's real. And I want you to know there's hope, and I'm getting there. Someone said the current political climate from Anthem. Next one. I don't want to see the next one. Someone said a discouraging environment and negative people. I get that. North Phoenix. Last one. I may not be good enough. East Valley campus. I can relate. I can totally relate to that. You see, while hope fills you with life, it's like the air that's inside this volleyball. It gives this volleyball shape. It gives this volleyball the ability that when it comes into contact with opposition, what happens? It rebounds. It bounces back. That's what hope does. But here's what despair does. You hear that? Hang with me. Hope will fill you with life, and despair will slowly take life away from you. And some of you have been in a place like this before. Some of you are in a place like this right now. You see, where life meets pain and difficulty, that is often where hope is lost. And if you're someone that's in a season of pain and difficulty right now, I want you to know you've got to come back next week because we're going to spend the whole time talking about that very thing. And I want you to know there's hope even in the midst of pain and difficulty. And the more that I've thought about hope, the more I've just realized there's a flaw with hope. See, hope in this world is never a guarantee. Sometimes what we hope for doesn't pan out. Sometimes we hope for good things and instead bad things happen. Sometimes we don't get asked to prom. Sometimes our parents still get divorced. Sometimes we still lose the game. Sometimes our friend ends up and moves. Sometimes our loved ones still pass away. There is no hope in this world that's on lock. And that's why we need something better to hope for. A hope that exceeds anything that sports or money or relationships or education can offer you. You need more than hope, students. You need living hope. What's living hope all about? There's this man named Peter. Peter was one of the original 12 followers of Jesus. He spent 3 years side by side with Jesus. They went camping together, hiking, fishing. Jesus witnessed Peter do the miraculous. Peter heard things, Peter saw things that have changed the course of human history. You know what Peter saw one day? He saw Rome take Jesus and nail him to a cross. This moment in Peter's life was perhaps the lowest, most hopeless place he'd ever been in. But yet, years later, Peter would talk about living hope. Students, here's my question for you. What would move a man like Peter, who saw Jesus, his best friend, nailed to a cross, and go from this place of complete hopelessness? What would move him to this place of talking about living hope? It's the fact that about a week after, Peter watched Jesus die on the cross. He was out fishing, and he heard a familiar voice on the shore call. Peter recognized that voice. He jumped in the water, made his way to shore, and embraced Jesus face to face. Living hope, you guys, is alive. Death cannot stop living hope. Everything in this world, you guys, is either dead or dying except Jesus. Except Jesus. And Jesus' promise is this, that anyone who would trust him, anyone who would follow after him, they would receive more than hope that this world offers. They would receive living hope today. And not only today, that we would receive living hope for eternity with Jesus in heaven. The hope of heaven, you guys. If you're someone who ever is curious about heaven, or maybe you think about heaven and maybe you just get a little discouraged because you're like, I don't want to like float around on the clouds and like play with babies and angels. That just seems weird and boring. If you've ever thought that, you got to come back 2 weeks from now because your student pastor is going to be preaching about the hope of heaven. And I'm telling you guys, heaven is going to be so good. You have so much hope because of heaven. And I couldn't wait. I just have to share with you just a taste of how good heaven is going to be. One of the original 12 followers of Jesus, his name was John. Well, Jesus gave John a glimpse of heaven in the book of Revelation, chapter 21. And I want to read for you just a glimpse of what John saw. He says, and I heard a loud voice from the throne of heaven saying, look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them, it says. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them, and he will be their God. This is so key. It says he will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death. No more cancer. No more car accidents. No more suicide. No more death. Or mourning, or crying, or pain. For the old order of things has passed away. And he who is seated on the throne, this is Jesus, said, I am making everything new. Everything new. Is that what you need? Do you need something new? You need living hope. And I'll tell you this about living hope, you guys. The difference between hope and living hope is that this one, it's a guarantee. It's on lock. Living hope never fails. You can trust it. You can cling to it. And for some of you, this is what's missing from your life. And there's a whole bunch of us tonight that we call ourselves Jesus followers, yet we underestimate hope. And it's because we hope for things of this world. And we hope so little for what's beyond this world, for what lasts, for what's eternal. We hope so little for living hope. And tonight I'm telling you, there's somebody. And living hope is the difference of whether or not you stay in this place where your head just hangs low because you're facing a trial right now. And living hope wants to lift your chin and say, keep your head up. You've got this. I'm with you. Let's do this together. There's somebody out there right now. And living hope is what's gonna bring you from a place of unbelief to a place of faith. And there's a whole bunch of you that you've been living this faith that's quiet, and it's timid, and it's lifeless, and there's so little living hope. And living hope wants to fill you. It wants to move you to a bold, exciting, adventurous faith that makes a difference in your life right now, that makes a difference for eternity, for not only you, but for everybody who comes in contact with you, that hope would overflow from you. Students, why would you live another moment of your life in despair when living hope is available for you? Don't live another moment like this. You have in Jesus the absolute best to look forward to. No matter who you are, no matter what you're going through, there's hope. And it's available to you right here, right now.